Greetings, peoples, and welcome back to Sonic Colors. We are here, and oh, look at that, a map. An overworld screen that you're not going to see again because I edited out all the times where I actually did go to the map after every level. But I'm trying to make this playthrough more fluid, seem professional, seem like I have some type of skill in editing. Ah, look at the colors. Look at the colors. Oh wow, look at the colors. Oh, the colors are so bright. The colors feel so right. Seriously, I'm pretty sure this level gave somebody a seizure at least once. So I'll be serious here. It's probably happened to somebody. Because, Jesus, look at this. I mean, granted, I've only tapped the analog stick left and right, and oh, I'm about to press the A button. But at least this looks interesting. At least this looks interesting as opposed to other Sonic games that may have been released on November of 2017, but I am not getting into that yet. That's going to become a thing on the channel or something, me hating that game. But I'll talk more about that game when I get to playing that game at some point in the future. If you're wondering why I'm just now starting to not name that game that I always talk about how much I hate it, I don't know, it just feels right. Trying to have some type of build-up, some suspense for when I actually do play that game. But we're playing Sonic Colors, and I don't want all of my playthroughs to have some type of rant about that game, so... I mean, granted, now that I just said that, it is part of the playthrough now, but... never mind that. Look at the colors. Look at how fast the Motobugs are now. This is cool. I actually do like this set piece, and when we're about to go into a black hole in a minute, I just find that really cool. Again, this is on the Wii. 2010, sure, the Wii was on its way out, technically, since the Wii U was just around the corner, since I believe it was announced in 2011, if I'm correct. But yeah. This was on the Wii, and not a lot of games on the Wii looked this good. When you think of the Wii just being a beefed-up Gamecube, because that's what it is on a technical level, it's basically just a beefed-up Gamecube with motion controls added in. But look at this. This was on the Wii. And sure, you had games that technically looked better, like Smash Bros. Brawl and Mario Galaxy. Maybe. I mean, this game and Mario Galaxy are probably neck and neck. This looks like an early PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 title, which is pretty impressive for, again, a system that's basically just a beefed-up GameCube. Here we get introduced to the Cube Wisp, which basically just turns Sonic into a block that changes how these cubes work. Anything that's a ring turns into a solid platform, anything that's a platform turns into a collectible blue ring that just gives you points. Yeah, there's not much to this, but it has some funky music playing in the background when you use it. Some people would say, oh no! Well, that happened. Yeah, I tried air dashing with the B button since I'm using the Wiimote nunchuck combo, because as I said before in the previous part, I don't like the GameCube controller, and I don't like the GameCube controller setup for this game. I just think it controls awkwardly, and that the B and A button, like the B button is too small and the A button is too large. I don't know. It just... me, I'm not really a big fan of the GameCube controller overall. It's kind of weird for me for a game like this. I prefer using the Wiimote nunchuck combo, it just feels more natural for me. But I was trying to air dash there with the B button on the Wiimote and accidentally shook it, which is a flaw for the Wiimote nunchuck combo, and pretty much for all Wii games where motion controls are heavily used, where stuff like that can happen. Now that we move on to Act 2, and of course it starts out in 2.5D, which I don't really care about. I mean, I'd rather have a 3D Sonic game, but I don't care whether the game is more 3D or 2D. I would prefer a fully 3D game, as there's a level later on in Starlight Carnival here where there is a pretty massive 3D section, and it's probably the most elaborate 3D section in Sonic Colors. But that's not till later on in this world zone, whatever you want to call them, levels in Sonic Colors. Cube also has the ability to break these black boxes, not these ones, but the ones you previously saw me break. And then, yeah, and this level also introduces these bomb blocks. A lot of blocks in Sonic Colors. Like, not just like these blocks, but like a lot of the game feels very blocky, which is a complaint a lot of people have about Sonic Colors, and I'll admit, I do have that complaint. I do agree with that complaint at certain points in the game, but that's not until later on, where the platforming really gets blocky and it almost feels like I'm playing an NES game. It's not even blocky like in Sonic 1, where a lot of platforms, like say in Spring Yard Zone, are very blocky. But it's the type of thing where it just feels sort of stiff, the platforming, if that makes any sense. Basically what I'm trying to say is that the platforming isn't really the greatest. Stuff like this. This is pretty blocky. Pretty straightforward, just blocks arranged in a very specific way, almost like a Metroid game of sorts. Very blocky again, like an not SNES, but NES game. Also, I just now realized that there's an archer in the background. Also speedrun strats, but yeah, never actually noticed that. I knew about the archer because when I first played Sonic Colors, it was on the DS version of the game, and there was always an archer in the back of the world map area in the DS version for Starlight Carnival, and in one of the acts, because in the DS version there are only 3 acts per world as opposed to 6 like in the Wii version. But that archer you see in the background right now was actually a set piece in the DS version, where you would just go, like Sonic would be launched towards it, and then you'd hop on an arrow and the archer would shoot you across the screen, and you'd collect a bunch of rings while you were being launched. Also, this level also introduces that spring mechanic. Probably see how it works. I stomp on it and everything. And I've never had that happen to me before where I outran the camera. Sonic Colors is truly trying to harness the spirit of the Genesis games, and it's working in that aspect. Me being able to outrun the screen. Never knew that was actually possible in this game. This level introduces these weird polygonal like shapes that shoot these green electric balls things. I don't know what these are, but they're introduced in Starlight Carnival. Come to think of it, a lot of gimmicks in Sonic Colors, level gimmicks, are introduced in Starlight Carnival. These weird polygonal shape things that shoot electricity. You have the... what is it? Those, I believe those Badniks at the beginning of Act 1 that were shooting lasers at me, I believe those were introduced in Starlight Carnival. I believe I'm right with that. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's introduced, and then the sequence where you're being chased by monobugs, and you're like boost through them quick step, that's introduced in Starlight Carnival. There's a lot of stuff that's introduced in Starlight Carnival, actually. Come to think of it. Very gimmicky level. This level's too gimmicky for a Sonic game. Sonic team's always trying to use gimmicks. I keep getting hit constantly, but I really don't care. I really do not care. Level's short anyway. A lot of levels are short in Sonic Colors. That's one complaint I have about the game, where a lot of the levels in this game are rather short. To the point where, like, you wonder why they're even there. I mean, sure, padding, as mentioned in the previous part in Part 1. But, I don't know, like, couldn't you have made, like, maybe one more act that's longer? Like an act... like, usually, Acts 1 to 3, or at least 3 acts per world in Sonic Colors are a lot more larger. They have a lot more substance to them, a lot more to do. Basically, they're longer acts. And then the other 3 acts in a world are rather short, and a lot of the shorter levels, like right here, The level where I was using that yellow spring, that little camera shift moment, and as you can tell by the background, this is ripped straight out of previous level that just happened a few minutes ago.
Oh, no.
I don't know how I died there. I don't know. That kind of reminds me of Sonic 06, where if you hold the analog stick in any given direction, at the beginning of Crisis City, a scripted moment where you're launched towards a rail at the very beginning of the second part of the stage, you'll just fall straight down and die because you're supposed to not touch anything to land on the rail after being launched by a ramp. Then if you press anything, you'll instantly fall into a pit and die. I think that's what happened there, where I must have pressed the analog stick or something, causing me to not go fast enough. Maybe I was holding back on the analog stick for a second. That's what caused me to die. I'm not entirely sure though. But since this reminds me of Sonic 06, yeah, this game's just as bad. This game just as bad as Sonic 06. Hashtag colors is 06 too. Sure, we'll go with that one. Also, this is the 3D section I was talking about earlier. The most open and complex 3D section in the game, and unlike most playthroughs I see where I just see people skip over it with the hover wisp, yeah, I'm exploring this. I'm gonna explore all of this, or at least most of this section. And honestly, after exploring this for the first time in this playthrough, I realized that Sonic's controls aren't really the best for precise platforming in 3D. And Sonic can also feel somewhat stiff. Like you'll see here, I have a little bit of trouble getting up to the next level where you see me sliding off platforms right here, but I swear, like, I'm pressing the jump button, I am double jumping everything, I'm doing all this. Sonic's controls feel very stiff. Like that. Like, if I was playing something like Adventure, I'd easily be able to steer myself in the correct direction to land on those platforms, but Sonic feels too stiff on the ground and feels too slippery in the air. Like, if you're on the ground, the way Sonic turns and basically moves and accelerates can feel very stiff, but then as soon as you jump, your movement becomes slippery. It's like if you were playing something like Unleashed or 06 on the ground, and then as soon as you went into the air, you were playing like, I don't know, Adventures. Like, your jump becomes very almost floaty. I don't know how to describe it, but if you played the game, you'll know what I'm talking about. Tell me if you've noticed the same thing in the comments. If, like, you have played Sonic Colors, if you get what I mean. Like, your ground movement feels very stiff, but your mid-air movement feels very smooth and almost kind of slippery. Here we're reaching the end of what's probably the best section in the game. And again, I swear I was pressing the jump button there, but I slid off. Like, and I swear, I'm not like sucking or anything. I'm seriously trying to. I'm good at video games, I swear. But yeah, I don't know if it's Sonic Colors control or what, but it's just how it feels after exploring this area. Oh, the glow ring. Oh. Okay. I was an inch off of ending the level in a really cool way. Either way, I don't know why. I like this background. Like, sure, it's pretty similar to other backgrounds, it's probably been repeated, but at the start of that level is the first time I really noticed the bottom of the level, I guess. And I just noticed that archer. This is the same background that we've had for like 3 levels in a row. The same archer. Also, I don't know how I canceled out of that lightspeed dash. I don't know if that's a thing you can actually do, but that's the first time I've ever been able to cancel out of a lightspeed dash while using the hover wisp. I don't know if there was a thing I did. I didn't stop pressing the B button or anything. Just button the lightspeed dash if you're using the Wiimote nunchuck combo. I don't know what caused that. Either way, after this level, we are moving on to the boss.
If I was an alien in need of safe
I be? Experience has taught me to investigate anything that glows. Experience has also taught me that the best way to solve problems is to kick robot butt.
This is our caution to avoid feeding, petting, or saving any aliens.
Excuse me, giant killer robot? You want to do this the hard way or the easy way? Somehow I knew you'd say that. Let's dance.
Okay, and here we're at the boss of Starlight Carnival, and this is probably my favorite type of boss fight in the game, since the first 3 worlds of the game, Tropical Resort, Starlight Carnival, and later on, which you'll see next part, Sweet Mountain, there are 3 types of bosses that are used in those 3 worlds, and they're basically recycled. I shouldn't say basically, they are recycled for the next 3 worlds in the game. So there are 3 types of bosses that are each used twice for each of the 6 worlds. But yeah, it's a sign of laziness on Sega's part. I wish there were more unique bosses. Like in the DS version, there's a different type of boss for each world, except for this boss and Asteroid Coaster, which are kind of similar in the DS version. Like, bosses are kind of similar in the DS version of the game, but they're different enough to the point where they can be considered different bosses. Later on in Sonic Colors here, bosses are basically just recycled.
Oh no!
Also, this is the second time in the game where a boss is weak to the Laser Wisp. So, yeah. Also, we get to see how long Sonic's homing attack actually reaches in this game. Like, it can go all the way from one side of the screen to the other. It's kind of ridiculous. And there we go, everybody. That is the end of the Starlight Carnival boss fight. After we get a bunch of rings. Kablooey.
Hey, Tails, you missed the BBBE. Huh? Best boss beating ever. So, the actor giving you any more information or limericks or
Well, first, remember this translation
You serious?
isn't 100%.
Trust me, I remember.
So anyway, these aliens are made up of a really powerful energy source called hyper-go-ons. It's inside of them.
Like a battery?
No. Well, sort of. It's their life source. You only got a taste of it. Look at what happened. Battery is sort of an understatement. Funny thing, it was first translating as horrible body odor. Anyway, it seems an evil man, and you might know him, who they call Baldy Nosehair.
Baldy Nosehair? That's the best thing I've heard all day.
Get on with it.
Yes,
get on with
I
it!
know, I've already written it down. Anyway, he's draining them of their power, all their power, and using it for an evil aquatic mammal? An evil dolphin? No, a porpoise. Oh, an evil purpose.
That's good intel. Keep working on it.
Hey, where are you going?
To find Baldy McNosehair, of course. I'm totally calling him McNosehair.
Yeah, you'll call him Baldy McNosehair, alright, Sonic. It just will take until Sonic Lost World, 3 years after this game came out. But you'll say it eventually. Okay, everybody, that was the second part of the Sonic Colors playthrough. I will see you all in the next part, Sonic Colors Part 3, next time in the next video. Until then, I have been the Cryogenic Gamer. Good night, everybody.